Hey, and welcome back to Talk of Better Worlds. I'm SirFelixTheCat, and this is The Blender, a show where we take things that we're pretty much nerdy about and turn them into a list. Today's list won't be in any particular order, but it's a list nonetheless. Today, I figured we should live up to our name, so let's talk about some better worlds. Okay, better might be questionable, so let's talk about some other worlds. So, here are seven fantasy worlds that are some other worlds. So, let's grab our backpacks and let's go. Number 7, Erdrea from Dragon Quest XI. Really, I could have filled this list with nothing but worlds from the Dragon Quest series. A series of 11, soon to be 12 mainline games, as well as several spin-offs that started back in 1986. This is by far my favorite game series. Every game is a day one buy. It's a series that's for everyone, as the main games are not connected by any canon. You can start your adventure with Dragon Quest XI, that released in 2017. Or go back to Dragon Warriors from 1989 on the Nintendo Entertainment System, which is the name for Dragon Quest I in the West. With Dragon Quest XI, we stepped into the shoes of the mighty luminary and set out on an epic adventure across Erdrea by foot, by ship, and by flying whale. I mean, who doesn't have a flying whale just lying around in their garage? Am I right? A beautiful and colorful world, filled with interesting characters and rich with hope. Even when things get grim later in the game, the people of Erdrea don't give up. They all unite to bring about a better day. As with all Dragon Quest worlds, the charm, beauty, and feel of adventure is what puts Erdrea on this list. Number 6, Earth 12 from Batman Beyond. From the beautiful and mostly pollution-free world of Erdrea, we make our way to a planet called Earth. Strange name for a planet. This Earth is colorful as well, if you count all shades of gray. I hope it's not 50. Set on Earth 12 of the DC Universe. The year is 2039, and Neo Gotham has a new hero under a name you've never heard before. Batman. Not Bruce, who is at this time in his late 70s. In this universe, Bruce has long since retired the cape and cowl and is now mentoring Terry McGinnis, who uses a much more advanced batsuit that allows for flight and invisibility and has a more cyberpunk vibe, which I'm all about. The original Batman may be the most iconic of them all, but Batman Beyond is probably my favorite iteration of the Dark Knight. Personally, I do love Batman, but I was always more of a fan of the sidekicks, the Robins, and their later name changes. Number 5. Post-apocalyptic Earth, Japan. God Eater. Moving away from a future filled with criminals, we now visit the grim dark future filled with people being eaten by origami. Fun times! Origami, or angry gods, are composed of oracle cells. Single-celled and semi-sentient organisms that are produced by the planet for the purpose of resetting the world back into a paradise. That sounds nice and all, but what the origami need to do to complete their purpose is to destroy mankind and its creations. To prevent the origami from succeeding, the people of Earth turn to a military group, which is actually the current ruler of Earth, Fenrir. Fenrir has researched the oracle cells and have even made weapons to defeat the origami called God Arcs. God Arcs themselves contain oracle cells and are able to bite back against the origami. These weapons need welders, so, with some aptitude testing, they formed the God Eaters. I first discovered the games before the anime, and I was hooked from the start. It's nice to have bright and colorful, heartwarming stories like in Dragon Quest, but sometimes you need a dark reality where you are constantly reminded that everyone's life is on the line and actions have dire consequences. Number 4, The Realms, from Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and the Forgotten Realms books. In 1967, an 8-year-old boy named Ed Greenwood started writing his own fantasy stories. He kept at it throughout the years and ended up making a coherent world setting. He called this world the Realms. Later, when he discovered the tabletop game Dungeons & Dragons, he used the Realms for his campaign setting and shared his work as a contributor to Dragon Magazine, a popular magazine at the time for Dungeons & Dragons fans and players. Later, the company TSR would ask Greenwood to write official D&D campaigns. They would also later turn his world into novels with the help of authors such as Greenwood himself, Richard Allison, and R.A. Salvatore. I took the first steps into the Realms through the computer game Icewind Dale, which released in the year 2000. Snow-peaked mountains filled with loot and mystery, and a quest before me where there was no turning back, I was hooked. This is a world of infinite possibilities and magic, where anyone can become a legend, or even a god. Number 3, The Plane of Dominaria, Magic the Gathering. Let me start this section off with a bit of honesty. I have never read or even owned a single Magic the Gathering book, but still, I have seen Dominaria. In fact, if you are watching this video right now, you too have seen Dominaria. As the setting for Magic the Gathering, players get to see different areas of this vast planet that has roughly 2 times the amount of surface area than the Earth. Through the cards in our deck, we are able to see this absolutely incredible and incredibly dangerous world. Sadly, no full official map exists. Magic the Gathering, or MTG, has a staggering amount of terrifying creatures, but also has a lot of epic heroes such as Ajani Goldmane and Vivian Reed. I was first introduced to MTG when I was in high school. This gave me the chance to finally live out my fantasy of summoning an army that's powerful enough to take over the world. That's actually the secret purpose of this channel. It's to spread the word of how I am your new ruler. And as your God King, I will! Number 2. Temerant, The Kingkiller Chronicles. One day, I got to my job a little bit early, so I had some free time on the computer. I decided to spend that time looking up photographer Trey Ratcliffe. Beautiful work. Well, he had this interview where in it, one line stood out to me more than anything else. He had said something along the lines of, "If you haven't read Name of the Wind, we can't be friends." Powerful statement for a book, so I had to check it out. Instantly, I understood why. The Name of the Wind and its follow-up, The Wise Man's Fear, by Patrick Rothfuss, quickly became 2 of my favorite books ever. It has amazing characters in an amazing world with an amazing form of magic, where we actually get to see the power in names and the trials of a boy with tons of potential and the many hardships he has to face. It's hard to talk about these books and not just completely nerd out and spoil mostly everything, so I'm just going to stop here and say, you should check this out. Let me know in the comments if you have. And Number 1. Midworld, the Dark Tower series. So far, we have talked about some fantastic fantasy worlds. But we have one more to go. Midworld is both terrifying and endlessly intriguing. From the mind of Stephen King, we first enter Midworld in his 1982 book, The Gunslinger, or 1978 if you count all the short stories that eventually became the novel, but your call. Never before this had I experienced such a fusion of fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and Western fiction. We start with our cowboy-esque protagonist, Roland Deschain, walking through the desert, following the trail of the Man in Black. From here, we visit caves, beaches, forests, and so much more. On his travels through the 8 novels, we meet many new, and if a Stephen King fan, familiar faces like Father Callahan from Salem's Lot. Because you see, Midworld and the Dark Tower series are connected to other works by King, such as the previously mentioned Salem's Lot, Insomnia, The Shining, Hearts in Atlantis, and It. This is definitely a book series you should check out. Well, here we are. I hope you've enjoyed this list of some other worlds. You'll notice that when I talk about books, I am rather vague. It's mainly because I don't want to spoil something for you that meant so much to me when I first experienced it. So, if I can say anything else on them, please do go check them out. And, once you have, come back here and thank me for the introduction. What worlds on this list stood out the most to you? Or do you have your own favorite fantasy worlds? Let me know down in the comments. This is definitely a topic I'd like to touch on again. Anyway, until next time, take care. We hope to see you again. Hey, thanks for watching.
Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you didn't.
Let us know what you think about the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Tell your mom.